Peace, family. How y'all doing out there? Reflections. I'm back again with some more good information for y'all. Today's lecture is going to be about the Nation of Islam and how they are in the caught in a false religion. First thing first, reflections. We're going to start off with Prophet Muhammad. Now, the Prophet Muhammad was supposedly said to have been the founder of the Nation of Islam, and he founded the great city of Mecca. And we know Prophet Muhammad never existed. Just how Jesus never existed. And the Holy Quran and the Bible is basically the same, all written by Caucasians, made up lies and stories. But what's interesting is this, reflections. We're gonna read this. Look at this. Numerous people have said that Muhammad had sex with his youngest wife, Aisha, daughter of Abu Bakr, when he was 53 and she was only 9 years old. Pause. What the fuck? So we know right there that the Holy Quran, this is in the Holy Quran. So that right there states that the Holy Quran promotes pedophilia. And also in the Holy Quran, it talks about blood sacrifices and all of that. Just like the Bible talk about blood sacrifices, blood for my blood, flesh for my flesh. They were sacrificing animals and all that bullshit. The Romans did that shit, and the Greeks. That was Christians and the Knight Templars and all that shit, man. And they worship the goat god Baphomet also, but we're gonna get into that a little later, reflections. But yeah, that's some sick shit, man. So we know right there off rip that the Holy Quran promotes pedophilia, blood sacrifices. How is that of God, y'all? And Wallace Ford Muhammad came up with these teachings, man. Now let's get on Wallace Ford Muhammad reflections. And Wallace Ford Muhammad says to be from Turkey. And he studied under the Roman Empire, under the Romans and the Christians. Now let's get into this Wallace Ford Muhammad guy, man. Wallace Ford, also known as Wallace Ford Muhammad, or Master Fard Muhammad, reportedly born on February 26, 1877, disappeared in 1934, was the founder of the Nation of Islam. He arrived in Detroit in 1930. Okay, y'all. So that tell you right there that Prophet Muhammad was not the founder of the Nation of Islam or the great city of Mecca. It was Wallace Fard Muhammad. And Wallace Fard Muhammad came up with all those teachings. And also Elijah Muhammad was talking all this talking shit that the white man is the devil and all that shit. But he got all his teachings from a white man named Wallace Fard Muhammad that he said supposedly came that he was God, and he came in the physical form of Wallace Fard Muhammad. We know off rip that God ain't no white man. So how the fuck did God come in the flesh of Wallace Fard Muhammad? Come on, man. He's a Caucasian. We all know that Caucasoids come from the Caucasus Mountains. and they was genetically spiced with animal genetics. So we know that. What? Off real, we gotta know that's a fucking lie. Let's keep reading Reflections. He arrived in Detroit in 1930 with an obscure background and several allies, and taught an idiosyncratic form of Islam to members of the city's black population in 1934. He disappeared from public record, and Elijah Muhammad succeeded him as a leader and nation of Islam. Okay, y'all, when he first came into Detroit, they say he had an obscure background. He was a scammer. And damn, what the fuck? What is the other word I had to use? Oh yeah, he was a scammer and a motherfucking fraud, man. He made up a false religion and teachings to get money from black people in America, man. Selling us religion and shit, man. That was false teachings based on satanic and demonic shit and pedophilia. Let's keep reading though. He disappeared from public record, and Elijah Muhammad succeeded him as the leader of the Nation of Islam. So we all know that Elijah Muhammad took on his teachings, his false teachings, to sell out more of our people, man, and to believe in this false religion, man. Shit fucked up. Farah Muhammad, acting as a door-to-door traveling salesman. See that reflection? Is my fault. Farah Muhammad, acting as a door-to-door traveling salesman, spread his religion teachings throughout Detroit. Within 3 years, grew the movement to a reported 8,000 to 9,000 members in Detroit, Chicago, and other cities. Today, the Nation of Islam has estimated of 20,000 to 50,000. Okay, now reflection. So, okay. Not to mention, Ryan L. Hubbard said that, and Ryan L. Hubbard was a known racist, and he said that Master Farah Muhammad was a broke panhandler before he came to Detroit. So we know he was coming to make money and to sell us false religion and teachings for his own personal gain. Because he was a door-to-door traveling salesman, selling this false religion, man, and these teachings. Scamming motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers went for this shit, man. Shit crazy. Let's keep reading Reflection. Oh, fuck it. But we all know. I want y'all to know. Y'all want to know why Black Africans is Muslims today? Is because y'all can't forget about the Arabian slave trade. When a group of Caucasians had broke off from the Moors, the African Moors, it came down to where he was at in the Nile Valley, and they enslaved the Africans. 12 million, 13, 14, about 12, 13, 14 million Africans was enslaved by the Arabians, and these Arabians were Caucasoids coming from the Caucasus Mountains. Okay. and they later on became Muslims. You gotta know the invasion of the Arabian slave trade was also well, they was also called the Hyksos. Look this up. Look up the Hyksos. Y'all look up the Hyksos and the invasion and the Great Invasion. I could look it up right now for y'all, but that's a whole nother topic for a different day. Reflections. But yeah. So you know that the only reason why Africans are Muslims, a lot of Africans is Muslims because of the Arabian slave trade. And the white Arabians later became Muslims and shit. Starting with this motherfucker, Master Farad Muhammad, that founded Islam. And it was spreading these teachings, these false teachings, and all through the, you know what I'm saying, the Arabian Peninsula and and through Africa. And he came to Detroit with these false teachings. And do you also know that Elijah Muhammad is also a Freemason? And also, Wallace Ford Muhammad was also a Freemason as well. And Freemasons is a satanic occult that worship Lucifer and practice Luciferianism, which means they worship the devil. And they devil is a goat god named Baphomet that the Romans came up with, and the Knight Templars. The Roman Knight, I'll look up the Roman Knight Templars, man, and Baphomet. It all equals up. With Freemasonry and these Christians. And the Roman death symbol is the cross. That's their symbol too as well. And the 5-pointed star. Look at this, Reflections. Look at this shit, yo. This is Louis Farrakhan and all his Muslim brothers, man. They all Freemasons, man. They working for that man. They down with that satanic cult, man. They work with the white elites. They sold out, y'all. They sellouts, man. Go back real quick. And y'all can see it clearly. Look at Louis Farrakhan, man. All smiles and giggles. Y'all see the Freemason satanic symbols? They working with the white elites, y'all. They sold out. Louis Farrakhan ain't really for the people, man. He talk all that black power preaching and shit, man. And he's really a FBI agent. He working for that man. And look, y'all, this is what the Freemason worship. There's a goat guy named Baphomet right here. Y'all see the cross, the Roman death symbol. It's Baphomet, that's what they worship. Right here, look at this, y'all. Y'all see the 5-pointed star? That's their symbol. Our symbol is the 6-pointed star. There's the 5-pointed star. As you see, he's a white man. It's a white goat god. Okay, now why do they worship a goat? A goat god named Baphomet? Because they used to have sex and shit with goats, man. These Greeks and these Romans motherfuckers. They was doing some sick shit, Reflections. Shit crazy. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all something else that's gonna fuck y'all up. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Just a second, Reflections. Look at Elijah Muhammad. Y'all see the 5-pointed star that he wears? That's the symbol of Baphomet, man. Satanic worship. Some demonic shit. They all sold out to the white elites, y'all. Became Freemasons and satanic worshipers. Even our own sold out. That's crazy as fuck, man. Couldn't believe these motherfuckers, man. Show y'all something else. Now I'm gonna show you why the Freemasons and the Christians worship Baphomet. Look at this shit, y'all. This is the goat god right here. This is in Greek. These are Greek statues. That's why they worship Baphomet. That's why their deity is a goat. You know what I'm saying? Because they used to have sex with goats and shit, man. Yep. There was homosexuals, all that shit. That's where homosexuality come from and everything. Pedophilia, blood sacrifices all came from the Romans and the Greeks. Look at this sick shit, man. The fuck? Come on, man. Now I'm gonna go back. Now I'm gonna go back to Baphomet, y'all. See, y'all. These are the y'all see the crosses on these Roman Christians. These are the Roman Christians, Knight Templars, and their god is Baphomet, which is the devil, Lucifer, because they worship Lucifer. They made up their own deity of a goat, to symbolize as Lucifer or Satan. They worship that. And the reason why, because they was having sex with goats and shit, man. This is they shit. Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan is all with the occult, y'all. Louis Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad is down with the occult, y'all. They sold our people out, man. And Malcolm X exposed these motherfuckers too, Reflections. Malcolm X exposed Elijah Muhammad, man, and his false teachings. Because Elijah Muhammad was sleeping with 16-year-old, 15-year-old women, multiple of them, having babies with them and shit. All this pedophilia shit, man. And Malcolm X wasn't feeling that shit, man. And these women's were, and the women that he had sex with and went on to, these young girls, they was shamed and cast out of Islam, because in Islam, if a woman gets pregnant without being married, she gets shamed and talked down on. And Malcolm wasn't feeling that, man. He was having sex with all these young underage girls, man. He was a pedophile. And they ain't want that shit getting out, so they worked with the FBI. They had Malcolm X get killed, man. They worked with the FBI. They had Malcolm X to get killed, man. They worked with these white elites, man. We all know the FBI at the time was Ku Klux Klan members, man. And Ku Klux Klan members were Freemasons as well. And they, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what they did with the cross. Came and burnt up all our shit with the cross. You know what I'm saying? That's the, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, my reflections, we're gonna get into this, man. This Malcolm video. Malcolm X exposing these motherfuckers, man. Let's get it.
Because the black Muslims were too narrowly sectarian and inhibited, and because Elijah Muhammad had become blindly jealous of you and the personal following you had gathered.
I said the first part, but the last part, I didn't say that Elijah Muhammad himself had become blindly jealous. I mentioned that it was his family and the officials in Chicago. Everything that I said always was designed to protect Mr. Muhammad himself, primarily because the image that he had created was the image that enabled his followers to remain strong in faith and things of that sort, and I didn't want to see any adverse effect or negative result develop in the faith of all of his followers. Mm-hmm. But actually, despite the fact that I tried to protect the Muslim movement, if you'll notice, they used their newspaper to slander me and to label me as a hypocrite and as a rebel, and Mr. Muhammad himself said that I defected. Well, in reality, I never even left the Muslim movement. They put me out. And they put me out because of what I knew, and what I knew was told to me by Mr. Muhammad's son, Wallace Muhammad himself. They put me out and they put him out.
Well, now, first of all, let's find out what it is that Wallace Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad's son, told you.
Well, number one, if you notice, the stick that I always used in presenting, representing, and defending the Muslim movement was the fact that it had the ability to reform the morals of the so-called Negro community. It eliminated drug addiction, alcoholism, fornication, adultery, loose sexual behavior, which meant that it eliminated bastard babies, illegitimate children. Well, as long as I knew that this was what it represented and it gave me a strong stick, I could represent it and defend it. But we had a law which was that whenever any Muslim became involved in any kind of sexual relationship with someone to whom they weren't married, that person would be brought before the Muslim community, humiliated, and then isolated for from 1 to 5 years. This was our law. Well, in 1954, a teenage sister left Detroit and became one of Mr. Muhammad's personal secretaries. And there in the Chicago office, she became pregnant after being there for a year. And she was brought before the Muslim community and humiliated and isolated. And a year later, another secretary, this time one from Lansing, Michigan, came to Chicago. She also became pregnant. She was brought before the community and humiliated and isolated. And because the other person was never brought forth during this court session, it was concluded by all of Mr. Muhammad's followers that it was a non-Muslim who was the other party. Well, we grew so rapidly until that in 1957 or 58, the secretarial staff was expanded to, I think, 8 teenage sisters. In 1959, 6 of them disappeared. 2 of them reappeared in Philadelphia about 2 or 3 months later, and they were all right. The other 4 reappeared in 1960. All 4 of them had babies. All 4 of them had become involved with someone and become pregnant and had these children. So it was, from what I now know, when the 4 of them got back to Chicago and began to compare notes, they found that the same man had told all of them the same story and had made all of them pregnant. That the same man was the father of all 4 of their children and had also been the father of the children brought forth by the 2 secretaries who preceded them. So this story was kept among these sisters until 1962. 2 of them rebelled against the person who was responsible and began to tell the story all over the city of Chicago. It caused many of the Muslims in the Chicago mosque to leave and go back out in the street. They knew it, and I knew nothing about it until 1963, when Mr. Muhammad's son, who had been in prison, came out, and he had been a minister. He was very religious and spiritual, and when he began to hear these rumors around Chicago, he went to one of the sisters, and the sister admitted to him that the rumor was true. And it was he who first told me about it. And when he told me about it, I wrote to Mr. Muhammad and told him about it, and he admitted that he had a knowledge of it, and that he'd given me a religious explanation that would fit into prophecy and all of that. So I was quiet. And it wasn't until October of 1963 that it came up again. And when it came up again, I realized that the same person who had made these other sisters pregnant was still busy doing the same thing. He hadn't stopped. 2 of the sisters had 2 children by the same man. And one of those 2 sisters was pregnant still, getting ready to have a 3rd child by the same man. So when it was known among the Chicago officials that I had a knowledge of this, they became very fearful of me. They became very antagonistic toward me, and they had to do something to diminish the authority that I had, for fear that if this became public knowledge, the followers would leave the Muslim movement and follow me. And it was at that time that they used the statement that I made against President Kennedy as a pretext to cut my authority, and some other things happened that finally produced the split, or forced the split. And when I made the split, the only reason that I didn't make this public knowledge was I knew the implications, and I felt that if the Muslims who were in the Nation of Islam knew it, that which enabled them to be so strongly religious and exercise moral discipline would be shattered, and it would cause all of them to go right back and start doing the things that they had been doing previously.
Who is the father of all of these various children whom you have enumerated?
The first one to tell me who the father was Wallace Muhammad, and he told me that the father was Elijah Muhammad himself. One of the sisters, he went to the home of one of the sisters, and when he walked in the door, she said, "I want to let you see something." And she showed him her child. She said, "Here's your brother, and your father is the father of this child." And then I questioned the sisters myself, because I was shook up. And they admitted to me that Elijah Muhammad was the father of their children. And I took it to him. And it was at that time he told me that he was Muhammad, the prophet, and that Muhammad had 9 wives. He also told me that he was David. He was the modern David, and that he was the modern Solomon, and that it was meant for him to fulfill today all of the things that they did back there.
And how many...
Oh, man. Y'all see this shit, y'all? First of all, he wasn't no fucking prophet, bro. He was a false fucking prophet, man. Trying to say he was a fucking prophet. Wasn't nothing prophetic about that, man. But y'all see how you try to make up all them motherfuckers, all them damn excuses to try to justify what he was doing, man. This motherfucker was fucked up, man. I wasn't no motherfucking prophet, man. Come on, man. Prophet Elijah Muhammad. Prophet my motherfucking ass. The fuck? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Come on, man. How you a fucking prophet when the man that gave you all your teachings and shit was a white man? And you said he came and he said Wallace Ford Muhammad was God in the flesh. Hey man, let's keep going, man. Let's keep going, man.
Of these illegitimate children did he father with the sisters?
Well, he made 6 sisters pregnant. They all had children. 2 of those 6 had 2 children. One of those 2 is having a child right now. I am told that there is a 7th sister who is supposed to be in Mexico right now, and she's supposed to be having a child by him. For one thing, when you first separate from your wife, it's a physical separation, but it's not psychological. You still have feelings for her, and you protect her. But after the physical separation has taken place for a while, it becomes a psychological separation. It was the same way with me in the Muslim movement. When I first separated, it was a physical separation, but my feeling was still there. And it was only after my trip into the Muslim world and my pilgrimage to Mecca that I really was able to exercise the objective approach to it that enabled me to see that something had to be done to bring this to light. Otherwise, a whole lot of innocent people would be killed needlessly.
Well, these revelations that you are now making about Elijah Muhammad, what effect should they have on his following?
Well, I very much doubt that any of his followers who really are aware of what he has done would continue to follow him. He may try and justify it by saying that he's a Muslim, and that a Muslim has a right to these wives. If this were the case, these sisters should not have been humiliated. These sisters have been looked upon for the past 5 years, or 6 years, or 7 years as being guilty of having committed fornication. They have been debased. They have been degraded. I have heard him himself refer to them as having disgraced him. So if they were his wives, he should have given them a position of respect so that all of his followers would respect them and that they would have the protection of his followers today.
Well, do you feel that you then perhaps now should take over the leadership of the black Muslims?
No, I have no desire to take over the leadership of the black Muslims, and I have never had that desire. But I do have this desire. I have a desire to see the Afro-American in this country get the human rights that are his due. I believe that the Islam religion is the best religion for our people because it creates unity and it gives one dignity and racial confidence and all of these things that are necessary to make a complete human being.
Are you not perhaps afraid of what might happen to you as a result of making these revelations?
Oh yes, I probably am a dead man already.
What do you mean?
When you understand the makeup of the Muslim movement and the psychology of the Muslim movement, as long as if I myself, by having confidence in the leader of the Muslim movement, if someone came to me and I had no knowledge whatsoever of what had taken place and they told me what I'm saying, I would kill them myself. The only thing that would prevent me from killing someone who made a statement like this, they would have to be able to let me know that it's true. Now, if anyone had come to me other than Mr. Muhammad's son, I never would have believed it, even enough to look into it. But I had been around him so closely, I had seen indications of the reality of it, but my religious sincerity made me block it out of my mind.
Have you received threats on your life?
Oh, yes. I first received threats on my life in December. In December. No, not in December, in January. When it first became known that I had come back to New York and told the captain of the fruit in New York, who was my right-hand man formerly, and also the secretary of the New York Mosque and the minister in Boston. When it became known that I had told them, then an effort was made to shut me up. One brother encouraged to go out to my house and shut me up. And fortunately, it was a brother who was well capable of doing so, but it was a brother who was highly intelligent. He was academically equipped to think for himself. And what he was told to do didn't add up. And fortunately, he was the one who put out a feeler to me to find out what was wrong. And I opened his eyes. And then he opened the eyes of the same crew whose job it is to do this kind of work.
You mean he was going to kill you?
Oh, yes. One of them was, an attempt was made to get one of them to wire my car with an explosive.
Oh my God. See? Y'all see how wicked Nation of Islam is? How they a sick occult, man? They ain't want Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan, them niggas ain't want the truth to get out so bad that they sent black Muslims to try to kill this man, bro. Wire his car up with a fucking bomb. That's why Malcolm X, when y'all see that picture with him hiding with an AK, looking out the mirror, he wasn't waiting for no white dude. He was waiting for a motherfucking one of these black Muslims that was trying to put a hit out on him. But shit, nigga, the police was trying to kill him and his own people, man. At the same time, he was dealing with these black sellouts that was portraying themselves to be for the people, but they really wasn't, but for their own selfish gains. Man, shit crazy, man. Rest in peace, Mouth, man. Let's get into this shit, y'all. Let's finish with the late great Malcolm had to say. Exposing
Is with me right now. Well, fortunately, while I was among the Muslims, I never lived beyond my means, and I have learned how to live within means. And I still have the clothes that that was provided for me at that time. I'm in the house that was provided for me, although we're in a court battle, they're trying to get it back. And I have made this statement to them concerning the house, that they could have it. If they would take me back, if they would permit me to come before the Muslim movement, the rank and file, and explain or defend myself against all of the charges that they've made against me, they could have the house. But they are going contrary to their own laws by standing up in the mosque and indicting me, but never giving me a chance to defend myself. And they say that no one can judge me but Mr. Muhammad. In this case, Mr. Muhammad can't sit as judge because he's involved in the case.
Elijah Muhammad says of the Muslims, we carry no arms, and we do not seek to win victory with arms. We do nothing to others that we would not have done unto us.
The two brothers were sent after me with revolvers by Joseph, the captain of the Fruit in New York. They were armed. When a Muslim is attacked, and you'll find this to be the pattern, when the Muslims were attacked in Monroe, Louisiana, Elijah Muhammad gave no signal to anybody across the nation to come to the defense of their brothers. When our brothers were attacked in Los Angeles, again, Elijah Muhammad gave no signal to anybody to come to...
Look. Y'all see how bad they did Malcolm? Malcolm was so loyal to this man, bro. Was so loyal to these motherfuckers, man. Elijah and Louis Farrakhan, all them niggas, man. You know what I'm saying? He just said, man, when the police shot and killed some black Muslims down south, man, Elijah Muhammad ordered Malcolm and a couple other black Muslims not to do anything. Cause you know why? Because Elijah Muhammad was he a bitch. He was working for them motherfuckers, man. And he had a meeting with the Ku Klux Klan, made a deal with the Ku Klux Klan. And cops and police back then was Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan founded the police stations, man. They started the police stations. You know what I'm saying? They started off wearing white and became wearing, you know what I'm saying, blue uniforms with the badge on them. Elijah Muhammad made a deal with these motherfuckers, man. Elijah Muhammad was a Freemason too as well, nigga. And so is Louis Farrakhan now. They all sold out. They weren't really for the people, nigga. They weren't even for their own people. Malcolm X was ready to shoot up the LAPD station when them black Muslims got shot down there, man. Elijah Muhammad ain't want to do shit. Huh? Let's keep going, man. Roll the tape. Let's roll the tape.
To the defense of those brothers. Never have the Muslims anywhere in the country gotten any kind of instruction from the national office or headquarters on how to defend themselves when they are attacked by outsiders. The only times the Muslims have ever been given any instructions to commit violence is when that violence is directed against a fellow Muslim. His followers are violent against Negroes.
Against Negroes?
Yes, his followers will go out and attack another Negro, like they will attack me, or they will brutalize a fellow Muslim who breaks the law. But you don't find those same followers going out and becoming involved in the Negro struggle in any way whatsoever. Now, the violence that he accuses me of is my
Look, y'all, they're not really for the people. Fuck Ferris Lewis Khan. Fuck Ferris Lewis Khan and Elijah Muhammad, all them Islamic motherfuckers, man. You heard what this man just said? Malcolm said, man, they made attempts to punish other black Muslims when they break a law or something, or punish him. And he ain't even did shit. But when cops was killing black niggas, hanging niggas and shooting down, killing black Muslims and shit, they ain't want to do nothing about it. He ain't want to do nothing about it. They work for that man. Come on, man. They work for that man, y'all. Let's keep going.
Tendency to want to participate in the struggle of the Negro at all levels. This is what he calls violence.
One question before we go further with that. Has Wallace Muhammad left the black Muslims?
Wallace Muhammad was put out of the Muslim movement right along with me.
As far as you are concerned, you will accept the fealty, if you will, of any Negro anywhere under any conditions.
You have to define fealty.
You won't want them to give you their loyalty.
Not me, their loyalty. I'm not seeking for the loyalty of any Negro. But I am seeking that Negroes to learn how to be loyal to themselves. And when the Negro learns how to be loyal to himself, our problem is pretty well solved.
Do you feel that your message, apparent message of love that you brought back from Islam is the real reason they're after you, because you're not hating as hard as they want you to?
Well, I never did hate anybody hard. But I do know that when I wrote that letter saying that there were white people in Mecca, it shook up a lot of Muslims, because most of the Muslims who follow Mr. Muhammad absolutely believed that it was impossible, physically impossible, I should say divinely impossible, for a white person to go to Mecca. And my trip there shattered that image, or that misconcept.
Anyone called you directly, Malcolm?
I've been receiving calls ever since I left the black Muslim movement.
And what sort of calls, Malcolm? You're disenchanted in view of the fact that these men who were your brothers are making threats against your life?
No, because actually it's not their fault. Most of them, now Joseph and the officials, they have a knowledge of what it's all about. But the rank and file Muslim brother does not know what it's all about. They are, out of religious sincerity, they think that they are doing the will of Allah by protecting a man who I myself taught them was divine. So I don't in any way fault them. But those who are over them and give the orders, and actually the ultimate order comes from Elijah Muhammad himself. As long as I represented the black Muslim movement as an example of morality, unity, and militancy, as long as I could do that, I represented it. It was when I realized that it could not be represented as that I came on and started working among the non-Muslim Negroes, as I announced in January. And I had no intention, or rather March, and I had no intention of ever even speaking on this. Had they left me alone, you still wouldn't know what really took place.
Why are they threatening your life?
Well, primarily because they're afraid that I will tell the real reason that I'm out of the black Muslim movement, which I never told. I kept to myself. But the real reason is that Elijah Muhammad, the head of the movement, is the father of 8 children by 6 different teenage girls, 6 different teenage girls who were his private personal secretary. The one who first made me aware of this was Wallace Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad's son. And I had stated in a newspaper article about an effort to take my life back in January, and at that time the Muslims denied it. In fact, they tried to make it appear to my brother that I was insane. But on a program in Chicago called Hotline, that's moderated by Wesley South, John Ali, the national secretary, admitted, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, one of these days last week, that they absolutely were going to kill me.
What steps will you take to protect yourself from this threat?
I take no steps. I have a rifle. If anybody comes to my house without a good reason, I intend to try and use it, and that's all.
Few of these threats, are you concerned about your own life right now?
No, I don't worry. I tell you, I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
This is Leon Amir, who was Cassius Clay's secretary, whom they beat unmercifully up in Boston.
I was attacked by them in Boston on December the 25th. In the lobby, the hotel lobby of the Sherry Biltmore Hotel, and they're still after me.
And it was he who heard Elijah Muhammad Jr. come to New York when Elijah Muhammad was at the Armory in June of last year. Jr. stood up and told the fruit, many of whom are here now also, that I should have been killed, that my tongue should have been put in an envelope and sent back to Chicago by now. And then Clarence, the captain from Boston, and John, the captain from Springfield, came to New York to assassinate me, and came to him to get a silencer, and couldn't get it. So the police know this. It's not something that's new. They just wait until the job is done, and then they step in.
You mean he was going to kill you?
I wanted you to know that my house was bombed. It was bombed by the Black Muslim movement upon the...
Y'all heard that? Y'all heard that? Y'all see how hard they was trying to kill y'all see how hard they was trying to kill the great Malcolm, man? Come on, man. That's crazy, man. Malcolm was really for us, man. He was really trying to build up the black community, man. He was really trying to, you know what I'm saying? He was teaching that we should have our own shit, bro. How we should put our money together and get land and, you know what I'm saying, build up black businesses, homes, banks, nigga, just like Black Wall Street, man. You feel me? And Malcolm was never, he wasn't racist. He even said it out of his own mouth that he was willing to work with anybody, any race, if they was willing to really help the benefits of the black man and woman in America. He said he was willing to work with anybody that was for the betterment of his people, man. The black Muslims wanted, and Elijah Muhammad, them niggas, they wanted for the betterment of their people, man. They sold out, man, was taking money from the people, man. And they was working with the FBI and everything, man. And they was Freemasons, bro. All of them. Elijah Muhammad, man, he made a deal with the Ku Klux Klan, man, with these police, bro. That they could kill us and shit, man. And the Muslims won't do anything about it. That's why they ain't do shit about it. They was trying to send motherfuckers to go kill Malcolm. They was burning up his house. They burnt his home up. Come on, man. They was willing to attack other black motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, and Muslims and shit, but they wanted to attack the real oppressors that was killing us, lynching us, raping us, beating our kids, lynching us, killing our kids, and sicking dogs on us and shit. And come on, man. That was burning down our homes and shit. Come on, man. Shit crazy. Let's keep getting into this shit, yo.
The orders of Elijah Muhammad. Now they had come around, so they had planned to do it from the front and the back so that I couldn't get out. They covered the front completely, the front door. Then they had come to the back, but instead of getting directly in the back of the house and throwing it this way, they stood at a 45-degree angle and tossed it at the window so it glanced and went onto the ground.
I don't know if I woke my husband up or he woke me up, but I remember him pushing me out of the bedroom door, and I looked to my right, And I saw all of the fire.
And the fire hit the window, and it woke up my second oldest baby. But the fire burned on the outside of the house. But had that fire, gone through that.
Y'all see how? Come on, man. Nation of Islam. Come on, man. They ain't give a fuck if that man's kids was in there. Cause they ain't want that. Cause he linked out information about the motherfuckers, exposing them motherfuckers about about Elijah Muhammad pedophilia. Shit, the Holy Quran promotes pedophilia, nigga. Come on, man. The Prophet Muhammad taking young girls as wives and shit, man. And these teachings was given to him by a white man named Wallace Farad Muhammad, who he claims that came in God in flesh. When you know God ain't coming into no white man in the flesh, man. How the fuck? And he was teaching that the white man and the devil and shit and all this other shit. You got white Muslims and all this shit, man. Like, come on, man. What? And you making deals with these, and you signed the deals with the Ku Klux Klan. You joined you joined they secret society, which is the Freemasons. You and Louis Farrakhan sold out, man. You know how much money they making from the federal government? It's ridiculous, man. They getting paid for the FBI, man. So the FBI can have their way with us, bro. They want really for the betterment of our people. And motherfuckers think Louis Farrakhan really for his people, man. He was helping trying to get Malcolm X killed. Shit, him and Elijah Muhammad did. Yeah? Shit crazy. But Louis Farrakhan still going on like he for the people, man. He never did shit for us. Never did shit for us. They never try to protect us when we was going through police brutality and all that shit and race wars. Man, fuck them niggas, man. Fuck all them niggas, man. Fuck whoever a Muslim, man. Fuck all them niggas, man. Keep going, man.
Through that window, it would have fallen on a 6-year-old girl, a 4-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old girl. And I'm going to tell you, if it had done it, I'd taken my rifle and gone after anybody in sight. I would not wait. The police know the criminal operation of the black Muslim movement because they have thoroughly infiltrated it. That's what I said. The Muslims claim I bombed my house. And if anybody can find where I bombed my house, they can put a rifle bullet through my head. It was my children and my own life and my wife's life that was at stake. You know what what temperature was? It was about 15 or 20. I stood in my underwear, bare feet, in the middle of my driveway with a gun in my hand for 45 minutes, waiting for the police or waiting for the fire department to come. If I want to put on a show, I can find a better way than that to put it on. And if you attack me, that's one thing. I know what to do when you start attacking me. But when you attack sleeping babies while you are lower than a god...
There has been much written and said about your departure from the Black Muslim organization. Could you tell us exactly why you did leave the organization?
Well, the exact I didn't leave, number one. I was put out, no matter... And since there was no justification for them putting me out, they had to make it appear to the public that I left of my own volition. But it was in February of 1963 that Wallace Muhammad, one of the sons of Elijah Muhammad, pointed out to me that his father had a very serious moral problem, which he had kept a careful secret up to that point. But that when I heard about it, I went directly to Elijah Muhammad. We discussed it. He explained it. He even admitted it to me, as well as to some of his other children. He discussed it with his other children. But when he gave me his religious interpretation or explanation of it, I accepted it. But about 5 months went by, and Wallace pulled me aside again and told me that his father hadn't changed. He was still involved in the same thing, and he was getting worse rather than better. And I think it had a serious effect upon me, subconsciously, if not consciously.
Personally ordered attacks upon you?
Oh, yes. In Cassius Clay, the brother that used to be the secretary to Cassius, or as Elijah Muhammad now calls him, Muhammad Ali Clay. was beaten in Boston recently, and this brother was a captain. He was one of the karate experts who taught karate on the entire East Coast, Eastern region. And he was in the inner circle. And he pointed out that in October, he didn't cease being a captain, but his influence or authority was placed beneath that of Clarence, the captain who's in Boston. Clarence was put over Joseph, and shortly after that, as Leon Amir testified, Clarence, the captain from Boston, and John, the captain from Springfield, Massachusetts, came to New York to carry out this so-called assassination. And they came to Leon looking for a silencer for their gun. Well, see, I understand all of it, but they parked half a block from my house here in the home of Alvin, who's also one of Elijah Muhammad's men, looking for a chance when they could, make their move. But thanks to Allah, they didn't get a chance.
And I want y'all to know this, y'all. Don't get it confused. Allah means arm, legs, and head. That's the structure of man, of God, the God form of the black man, which is us, you know what I'm saying? We are the gods, man. So with that being said, peace to the gods and goddesses of planet Kai, man. I love y'all reflections. And we need to have a motherfucking Malcolm X day, man. Come on, man. We can't have a Malcolm X day because he was too real, man. He was too uplifting to his people, man. Teaching the truth and exposing the government and their evilness and wickedness, man. They couldn't take that shit, man. He was too real, man. And he ain't sell out, man. And he held it down. You know what I'm saying? We gotta stand up, man. We gotta unite, man. Come together. It's about liberating our people for real, man. Fuck all the sellouts. Fuck all the Muslims. Fuck all the black sellouts that ever sold out, man. I love y'all reflections, man. Peace out. Love y'all.